welcome. This is Hoya Locker Room, episode 55. I have the illustrious class of 86 on board. We're missing a couple of fellas. They may jump in, they may not, but I think we got plenty of firepower here. And I just want to welcome everybody on the Sunday. Thank you for taking time. I know some of you might have to bounce early, but we're gonna give you your flowers. That was an incredible recruiting class that came in. And you guys did work. And Mark, I'm gonna turn it over to you now.
Well, I just want to say I'm disappointed that my man Ben Gillery is not on here right now. He's supposed to be on because when I was talking to Ben, he's asked me what time the show was because his birthday was today, and I said, "You got to be kidding me!" So that means we have celebrating the birthday today, one of the tallest Hoyas ever to play, and the best post guy to ever play, and the best looking Hoya. The first one is Ben, the second two are me. So happy birthday to me. You guys, Dwayne, you came in, you were a McDonald's All-American. I think, maybe, were you the top point guard in that class?
Yes.
And what was it like for you coming to Georgetown with all that pub coming from New Orleans and becoming a Hoya? Rumor has it there was something mentioned about Jesus Christ early on in your first season with Georgetown. Do you remember that?
Like it was yesterday.
Tell us about that.
I know it was a practice. I don't remember what practice it was or something like that. But big coach said something like, you thought you was God gift the basketball, and then you found out you wasn't even his son. You know, and to be honest with you, I didn't know what the hell he was talking about. You know, but for me, coming from New Orleans, it was a whole different experience. You know, different vernacular, different way of doing things, different way of talking. You know, so it was a bit of a culture shock to me. I think Anthony and Sam, Kemit will remember this. Shit, I know I tried to transfer out.
Yeah, I remember that well.
And childhood friend, one of my best friends to this day, ratted my ass out. Darren Jackson. Ratted me out. They found me, brought me back.
At least you know who to blame.
I was like a prisoner that broke out. They found me. But it was hard, you know. The adjustment was hard. It was real hard. You know, it was mostly hard just trying to get used to the coach. You know, trying to figure out what he wanted, what I was doing wrong. Because according to everybody else, you know, I was doing what I was expected to do. You know, get the ball to Reggie, play good defense. You know, I roomed with Reggie freshman year on the road. You know, so I thought I was doing what was being asked of me. And you know, every day in practice, every day after a game or whatever, it was difficult. You know, but as they say, that which doesn't kill you make you stronger. So I think in the long run, it was something that benefited me as I'm now an adult, you know, father, 3 kids, and had my own success in high school coaching and other things in life. So,
right.
Anthony, I want to stay on that theme for a second, Markham.
All right.
And whoever just jump in. That class was ranked number 4 in the country. Like that was a highly, you know, expectations were there from an external standpoint. Did you guys feel Big John took that and ran with it? Did he give you time to mature? Because clearly that 86, 87 team, you guys hit the ground running. Like you were thrust into the fire. And that was a memorable season. What stands out for me is I played with Reggie as a freshman when he was a freshman and I was a senior. You guys played with him as a senior. And again, maybe we can touch on that later, but what was the expectation from the coaching staff? What was the expectation for Big John? Was it unworldly? Was it ungodly? I mean, Dwayne mentioned that he was going to bounce. And, you know, we've had other players speak to that as well. So I'd like to hear from the crew, like in terms of what was that like? Was it pressure? No pressure? Obviously playing for Big John, I know there's always pressure, but if you could speak to it, I'd love to hear that.
Yeah. Well, for me, coming out of Texas, I was a Dapper Dan All-American.
Mr. Basketball for Texas.
Yes, Mr. Basketball from Texas. I could do it all. I could score, play defense, rebound, and guard, and literally guard to guard. So my expectations was simply this: come out, do what he say do, get your minutes, and get better, learn the system. However, when you got there, it was a culture shock. Being from the South, I mean, the North was truly different than what I was raised in. And
that's what I was going to ask you about. Coming from Port Arthur to DC, what was that like for you?
It was a culture. It was truly a culture shock. Generally, most people up north are kind of closed off, and that kind of shook me because where I'm from, everybody speak together, eat together, and you know, we have good times. And here you are as a freshman, you come in Dapper Dan and stuff, trying to get acclimated, and you thinking, hey, this is what college basketball is going to be like. Hey, we're gonna have fun. Then being put into a system that is trying to remold you and reshape you from what you've, been a success at your entire basketball career. It's hard. I think I remember my first game, because I always could score. I think I hit around 11 points in 2 minutes, and I was on the bench until the Big East. That's good.
It was actually 15 points in 15 minutes, Anthony.
It was 15 points in. Hey, and I was on the bench until pretty much the Big East.
Wow. That you saying that, I did not know about that, but I remember we played Florida and Johnny Jones scored, I want to say 6 points in 2 minutes. And everybody was happy for Johnny because he wasn't getting much run. And we all knew Johnny was talented, should have been on the floor. And we got in the locker room. I never will forget John saying, Johnny, the only reason you shot the ball was because you were scared to pass. I was like, man, this dude can't win. And it's funny that you mentioned the thing about speaking, because my freshman year, I had an assignment in an English class, and we had to go to DuPont Circle, and I was coming out of the metro term. And when I got up, I saw this guy, another young brother like me, and I just spoke, and I said, hey, how you doing? And this dude looked at me like I was from Mars, like something was wrong with me. He's like, that, just the eyes were like, I don't know you, dude. Like, why are you talking to me? So I was like, yeah, welcome to DC. Kemit, did you feel being from DC and given that Georgetown was, I would say, just below the peak of 3 Final Fours in 4 years with Patrick, did you feel any added pressure being from DC as opposed to if you're going to another school?
No, I didn't really feel any added pressure. I had, like, my last 2 years of high school, we didn't lose a game. Played with Smitty and Bobby at All Saints. We was like number 4 in the nation or something. Then we won the national championship in high school at Flint Hill with Dennis Scott. And I just expected to keep winning. they say this thing about, you know, if you win, you expect to keep winning. And that's all I knew was to win, you know? So,
right.
So I was expecting to go to win. And when we played with, that year was Reggie and the Miracle team, Final 8. And I was like, damn, we fell short because we supposed to, at least a losing season is the Final 4. We supposed to win the championship in my mind, and not really understanding the whole dynamics. And plus I think the environment was such that, as Dwayne alluded to with his Jesus Christ reference and Anthony with his story, it was one of a put down culture, not a lift up culture, you know. And that motivation direction, you know, I guess it had some results.
It don't work for everybody.
It works for some people, I guess, but it does not work. Nothing works for everybody. You know, I guess you can look at coaches in a big picture, whether you're talking about Dean Smith or Coach Thompson, and you can compare victories and see which ways kind of work the best.
Sid, I want to obviously bring you into the conversation.
No, I'm good.
No, only I get to listen to these great stories.
Yeah.
Pull us into what it was like for you becoming a manager with the Hoyas, and just tell us that story.
Yeah. A lot of you guys know my decision to come to Georgetown was pretty easy because that was the only school I applied to. And my sister was in Georgetown Law. Kemit knows her well. And it was fairly simple. And I got a chance to meet everybody at Community Scholars. We were there that summer before school. And that's where I met Anthony and Kemit and Dwayne and Mark. I thought we all developed a great relationship during that summer. And then when freshman year started, we carried that on. And I had no indication of what the potential would be to be a manager. It was mainly for me. I was just going for school, and I was playing ball at Yates every other day. And I was playing a lot of ball with upperclassmen, all the Kappas and KB. And I was always playing ball with those guys. And KB, Kenny Brown, I knew he was a manager, but I never asked him about it. Out of the blue, he came to my dorm room and asked me would I consider being a manager. I think that was like the end of my freshman year, beginning of my sophomore year. I don't remember the timing. And then I really assumed that I was just going to come in and help around practice for an hour or two. He never explained to me the details of what it would take.
Because you wouldn't have took the job.
So, and the ironic thing is, the day that KB, he just out of the blue. Well, first of all, I had to do an internship with the SID, Bill Chaplin. So I worked with Bill for a season. I think it may have been freshman year, Markham. I don't remember.
Was that part of your, like, did they tell you, like, you're going to work with Chaplin? Like, was that kind of like your trial deal?
I think it was, man. And because remember, I was still coming to practice, but I was working with Bill at the games. Okay. And so when I got a chance to come officially to a manager for practice, I never forget that first practice. You know, you put on those tight coach's shorts and everything, and I walk in, and KB's like, all right, I want you to meet Coach, because I've yet to meet him. And I said, all right, but back up about a day or two, my dad was in, my dad and mom were in DC for something, and they were up in the back of Georgetown having lunch, and Coach Thompson happened to be in there with Miss Michael having lunch. And my dad, he's very outgoing. He just walked up to him and said, hey, Coach, my son, he's going to be working for you, blah, blah, blah.
I'm already shaking my head.
And Coach Thompson, my dad said, oh, he's looking forward to seeing you. He was so excited that we went up and talked to him. And I was like, oh, wow, okay. So it's just a regular old dude. So when I walk up and KB, right, I walk up to Coach Thompson, and Coach Thompson says nothing. And KB's like, yeah, this is Sid. I was just telling you about him. He's going to come in and help us out, blah, blah, blah. So I'm standing there like at least 2 minutes. And KB's standing right next to me. And Coach never said a word. And then I
stared at you.
They stared. No, he was just looking at the practice. And I said, I don't like awkward silences. So I just like, Coach, nice to meet you. I think you met my parents. And he turned and looked at me. Your parents are not going to effing help you right now, son. I don't give a.
Oh, we like for you to swear for the emphasis.
Your parents won't fucking help you today, son. That was my introduction to being a manager. And I said, oh, I'm going to work my ass off and stay out of harm's way. But I enjoyed it, man. I mean, that was my introduction to being a manager.
Welcome to Georgetown.
Hey, Mark, I got to go to Dwayne for a minute. Dwayne, I'm going to take Dwayne off mute. Unmute. Can you take yourself off unmute? There you go.
There you
Dwayne, given the introductory that you all had, how the hell did you guys perform, even to Kemit's point, Elite Eight, Final Four is a goal, but Elite Eight is not fucking shabby. How did you guys perform as freshmen? Because you were major contributors. How'd you do it? What was the thing that gelled?
I think part of it was we were used to winning. We came from high school programs where we won. I think that year my high school team was ranked number 12 in the country. We were 40-1. Kemit's high school team was national champion, and I know Anthony coming out of Port Arthur, he was on a winning high school team. So I think it was just one of those things where, and Mark, Gonzaga was one of the powers in the DC area. So, we were used to winning. And I think, to Sid's point, I think we developed a strong bond, I think, during that community scholar program.
Yeah. I think that's
my freshman year, and he was a tremendous help for me freshman year. I don't know if he even remembers the first time I saw snow. I woke up, I was like, what the hell is that out there? I opened the window and put my hand out there because I'd never seen snow before. I'd seen it on the news, but I'd never seen it before. So it was one of those things where I just think we were used to winning, I think we all understood why we were there. I think that we were all very competitive. Practices were competitive. And I know for me, I was, quote unquote, told I was brought in to be the starting point guard, and to be honest, after watching Bobby and Smitty, and I knew Jaron pretty much my whole life, I knew I was gonna have to compete every day, that they were gonna come at my head. So for me, I think it was just one of those things where winning was something that wasn't an option for us. It was the only thing we knew. So coming in and not doing that, I think would have been a failure in any other way. I mean, it was tough losing to Providence in the Elite Eight, especially after beating them by 20-something the week before. So, to this day, I go back and look at that film and try to think about and look at now as a coach, looking at the different things that I can point out that we did wrong.
Dwayne, do you remember that practice? What I told Coach Thompson, he laughed at me. I told him that they can't beat us from outside.
Yeah.
We're too good for them to beat us outside. He laughed at me.
I do.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I do. I remember that.
Do you remember that? And what they do? Because it was a shock, because everybody thought that they were going to do what they used to do, but they came inside on it. That's how they clipped out behind.
And to Anthony's point, we took Billy Donovan out of the game. We took Pop Lewis out of the game. We took, I forget the other kid's name out of the game. I don't think they hit more than 2 or 3 threes in that game, but Yasik Duda, David.
Was Eric Murdoch on that team?
No, he was younger. But I remember, I will never forget the name Yasik Duda and David Kipton.
Yes.
They killed us. Them damn Europeans killed us. They killed us. They killed us. They out-physicaled us. That's who beat us.
Wait a second. Since you bring that, since you say I'll never forget that name, you just made me think about something that popped into my mind. You being from New Orleans, I'm pretty sure this was 89. There's 2 things about this game stand out for me. We went to the Superdome and we played LSU. Do you remember anything that was said during that week of practice?
I think you lost him. He was walking in another area.
He was going to an area with more noise. Well,
do you, Anthony? Oh, there you are, Wayne. Did you hear what I said?
Yeah, you asked me what I remembered about anything that was said at that week.
Yeah, that week of practice. Yeah.
And I don't remember much. I just remember him asking who wanted to guard him, Chris Jackson, and I said, "I'll guard him."
Yeah, I remember him telling all the New Orleans guys, "Y'all were going home to get embarrassed."
Yeah, I remember him saying that. Now that you mentioned, I remember it.
That sounds like
I just told him I wanted to guard him.
Technique.
Yeah,
I told him
I remember my roommate Kemit waking up. I don't know if you guys noticed, but when he would wake up, Kemit would hit his nose like this.
Oh yeah.
Every morning.
Yeah. Yep.
Yes.
I'm like, what's wrong with this dude? And I swear it was about, I don't know, 6:37. I always got up early. But this is before my alarm clock went off. And my alarm clock this particular morning was this. Chris Jackson, 35, 45. I was like, this dude is dreaming about Chris Jackson before the game. Like, what's up?
Fellas, I don't know Kevin as well as y'all do. I would never expect him to be dreaming about the hoop game. I just
that dude, that was crazy. You remember that, Kemit?
I don't remember that, man. I can't deny that, man. I got no comment on that. I do. It's hard. It's like Dwayne and Mark. I think it's a whole different mindset. Like they knew they was playing. They knew they was playing every game.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know if I was gonna play or not. Me and Anthony was more close. Like we didn't know if we was gonna play or not. Like Dwayne talking about the Providence game when those guys killed us or something. And it doesn't matter to me because I ain't play. But if I played, I mean, like they wouldn't have killed me.
Here's my point, Kemit. This is my point to that. When I go back and look at that game, right? One of the things that sticks out to me is that you and Anthony didn't play.
Yep.
Because y'all were bigs that could play the perimeter. And that would have made all the difference in the world because their bigs were European bigs that could move, that could shoot, that could put the ball on the floor. That was the adjustment from when we beat them in the Big East tournament to when we lost to them in the Elite Eight.
Well, Rick Pitino is a hell of a coach.
They made that adjustment. They went away from their guards and played more through their bigs. If you remember, they almost ran like a high-low almost.
Yes.
And our bigs couldn't guard them.
You got to have coaches. You have coaches to game plan and to adjust. And coaches do matter. You got to win. Some teams are a coach away from a national championship.
Small forward comment. I remember that. Kemit is referring to him being told on numerous occasions, his sophomore year, I think, was 88, 89, when Coach Thompson would often say his friends in the NBA were telling him they're a small forward away from a national championship. I'm curious, for all four of you, what is your favorite memory of a Georgetown game?
It's a game?
Yeah. Pick out one game in particular.
I got one real quick.
Go ahead.
While they're thinking about it, I remember on the bench for that NC State game in NCAA, Dwayne, you dominated that kid. I forget his name. Tracy.
Chris Corchiani.
Well, Chris too, and Tracy.
Tracy.
Dwayne, Tracy.
You talking about Rodney Monroe?
Yeah, Rodney Monroe and Chris Corchiani were NC State.
Yes. And the kid could complain to coach about him.
Yeah. They had to carry something. Kid came off the bench who was pretty athletic.
And he was cursing that coach, saying,
Yeah, Corciani kept complaining to the refs and to Coach Valvano the whole game.
Oh, man.
I was never a shit talker, but that game he was talking so much shit. And I just remember telling him one time, the only reason you there is because I didn't go.
I like that. That's Gary Payton-esque. I like that.
And y'all know me. I was never a shit talker. You know what I mean? It just wasn't my style. Still not my style.
It was my style. You had too much. You had skills. I didn't have skills, so I was a shit talker.
but he was just talking so much shit the whole game, man. I just remember one time when they went a triangle in 2, and I'll never forget. I looked over and I said, y'all making a mistake. Because they had the triangle in 2 on Jaron and Smitty. And Smitty was sick that game, but he tried to play and he just was not himself. And I think in the first half, I hit 4 threes or something.
Yeah, I remember.
And in the second half, they played straight up man or something like that. And, once you get it going, it's a whole different ball game. You get that feeling, and everybody talk about being in the zone. And you get in that zone, it's just a whole different ball game. And once that first half got started, everything else was like the goddamn ocean from there. I felt like I could have shot it backwards, and it was going to go in then. But that game, Sid, was probably one of those games for me. And I had a pretty good junior year after a miserable sophomore year. I literally called my high school coach, and I was honestly thinking about just not playing basketball anymore. That's how much I hated.
After your sophomore year?
But DB, weren't you?
Wow, that's surprising.
Let me jump in here on that sophomore year, because that's an important year, because that year it was after Reggie Williams was gone. We just
right.
That was the NIT year, right? NIT.
No, that's the year we lost.
No. Let me be real clear. We never went to NIT.
Every year. Never.
Okay.
Never.
Never went. That.
Not while I was there.
No matter what, that pride comes out. No matter what.
I was not making NIT Gatorade. I'm just letting everybody know.
But that year, it was really hard for, I think, the whole team, in the sense of, we were told we were the worst team ever in the history of Georgetown. We used to get these gray sweats, have to go out on this lacrosse field and run like marathons before practice with track shoes on, and go back in and practice. And we were just told the whole season, like, you ain't nothing. We won like 20-some games, and that wasn't good enough, and that was horrible.
Yeah,
we were 20-12,
20 and 10.
We went to the NCAA'S. I think we won at least one game in the NCAA.
One game and lost to Temple in the next game.
Temple got us good.
Yeah, and then I just look back and I see down the road, I'm like, when they had teams that couldn't even make the NCAAs, I was like, yeah, you should appreciate us when you had us.
Yeah. I had an assistant coach say to me, I ain't gonna say no names. He said to me, is this as good as you're gonna be? Like, is this it for you? Like, were you a wasted recruit? And I tell you, man, it took everything in my power not to slap the fucking taste out of his mouth. And I just looked at him and I said, no matter how bad you think I am, I'm gonna always be better than you were.
Wow.
I just walked away.
He just dropping bars. He dropping bars, yo. Bars.
I called my coach, called my high school coach. And I told him, I said, man, I just don't have love for it no more. I just didn't, at that point I didn't really want to play anymore. And then he asked me 3 questions. He said, can you play this game? I said, yes, sir. He said, were you the #1 point guard in the country? I said, yes, sir. He said, were you a McDonald's All-American? I said, yes, sir. He said, then why the hell are you calling me? Changed everything. And the difference between my sophomore and my junior year was night and day. Hell, it was more than night and day. It was like winter is coming and the night people, you know what I mean? It became one of those things where mentally I was just like, fuck it.
But Dwayne, you
play me or you're not.
You played all Big East your senior year.
Yeah.
So
it was a mentality change, Gene. I just didn't care anymore. Either he was going to play me or he wasn't, but I was going to play the game the way I knew how to play it.
I think you shot more your senior year too. I always wanted you to shoot more.
I shot more my junior and senior year.
Yeah.
I mean, I went from a 25% three-point unit shooter my freshman and sophomore year to 49 my junior year and 44, 43 my senior year.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that I couldn't shoot. I just was always afraid to, you know. And I just got to a point where I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna play. And I tell you what happened. I had a conversation with, it might have been Reggie or Jaron. And you know, it became one of those things where it was like, shit, he wants to win more than he hates me. And if he wants to win, he got to play me. You know? So, and I tell you, the moment for me that changed it, and Kim and Sam, Markham, you and Sid will remember this. We were in practice one day, and Kaya Day was trying to fucking kill me.
Yeah.
And coach stopped practice and said, "The hell are you trying to do? I don't need your ass, but I need him." To me, that was motivation. To me, that was motivation. That changed everything for me.
I remember that.
So Kai was D'ing you up.
Yeah.
Kai wasn't D'ing me up. Kai was trying to kill me. Kai was trying to get minutes.
He was doing that Gene Smith shit, hack Gene Hackman shit.
Hey man, it was different. Kai came in with some attitude that day, boy.
It's funny, Gene. You mentioned you said was that the NIT year. What I at some point people were talking about we might not make the tournament. And what I remember most about that season is we had a players only meeting. I don't know if you guys remember this. Ronnie and Perry, the captains, called a meeting, and they were very adamant that we were not going to the NIT. And they were like, either we going to the tournament or we not going anywhere. And that kind of flipped it around for us. Do you guys remember that?
I do.
That was, Kemit, Anthony, your best memory of a game?
Well, mine was always Syracuse because it was always down to the wire, no matter which one it was. You knew it was going to be the Coleman cycling, and I just liked in the last minute of the game to be playing whoever had the ball, especially if it was close. I didn't care who I covered. I know that, hey, look, if I'm guarding you got the ball, it's going to be hell to score.
Anthony Allen, you remember that big block you had? I want to say it was in a tournament game. A huge block.
On not Coleman. Was it Coleman? Yeah, I remember I was playing the guard then, Weston Douglas.
Okay.
Are you talking about that one?
I saw a few. But it was in a huge game. I think it was a tournament game.
Yeah, I think me and Dwayne actually crossed, and I got stuck on Douglas, and he took the shot, and I tipped it.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember. I had some big defensive games at Georgetown, especially against them.
Well, word on the street, we could have used you in that Providence game. Word on the street, we could have used you.
I remember, since that just came up, I remember, I think it was against Providence, might have been Boston College. It was at the Cap Center. You had the ball on the right side of the block, Anthony, and I think you threw a no-look behind the back pass to Ronnie Highsmith, opposite block.
None of that sounds right, by the way. None of that.
That's what he did.
Hey, one thing I can do is pass, man.
I saw it with my own eyes.
Hey, I can pass. I can see anybody anywhere.
No doubt.
Hey, look, and after my freshman year, when Coach said you could get the ball to Reggie, I had to come up with Wade.
One of the things that always surprised me was, in all honesty, was the fact that Kemit didn't play as much.
Right.
As he did. Because I mean, I thought he had, for his size, I thought he had some unique.
He was before his time. Coach wasn't ready for a big man out there.
6'9", 6'10", could handle the ball, could shoot the ball.
Yep.
At the end, basically 5 positions.
Yep.
coming from New Orleans, I'd never seen a guy that big that could do all of that. You know what I mean? Like,
So
never
Dwayne, it
seen
was no
him.
surprise to you that he damn near made the Wizards.
No, not at all. Not at all. Matter of fact, I was surprised he didn't. But it's one of those things that I think because people never really saw you do those things, right? For him, I think it was one of those things where it was like, is this a fluke or is this who he really is? If we take a good chance on this guy, is he going to be able to do this consistently for a season, or are we just seeing this now? You know, but that was always there.
I
It was always there.
I appreciate that. You know, you always appreciate what your teammates think about you. You know, we've been in practice every day against each other. We know each other, what we can do and all that stuff. I think that, you know, there's a mental aspect. Dwayne alluded to it a little bit in his career, there's a mental aspect to the game. And when he had a shift in his attitude about, you know, how he was going to play his game, improve, and his mental challenges around Anthony had to deal with coming off the bench, not knowing if he's going to play, being the star in high school, and then having to come and wonder if he's going to play, when he's going to play, how much he's going to play. Those things matter. Those things matter to the overall success of a player. And I was used to playing the game and the whole game, not put you in for 3 minutes, sub you out for the next half, and put you in for 90 seconds. And that stuff is, you know, it's hard to deal with. So I guess as far as favorite game, if you just judge me by any game that I played more than 20 minutes, and it's only 2 games where I played more than 20 minutes, you know.
Really? Only 2?
In my whole career, yeah. And I don't even know if I played 20 minutes against Duke, but it was to go to the Final Four.
Remember that?
Big game.
Because at the time, Danny Ferry was an All-American at Duke. He was leading their team. And he played a kind of outside game. And, you know, Zoe was more inside, and they was concerned about what Danny Ferry was going to do to us. So I got to play it. I got to play a lot. And I shut him down. And of course, Christian Laettner went off, but that was a different conversation. That was even though we lost, it was a good game for me. And I think I had a game against Pittsburgh where I played 20 minutes and I had 16 points, 8 rebounds, something like that.
I remember up at Syracuse, you played at Syracuse, NC State. I mean, I remember several games where you played very, very well. Several games.
Well, thank you, man.
Those minutes just weren't there. And that was something I never really understood. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Dwayne, you talked about the Providence bigs and how they were European bigs who could go out on the step to the perimeter and score the ball.
Hey, Markham.
Yes.
Hey, I got to bounce, man.
Okay, Anthony.
It's been good. I'm sorry I can't stay the full show. Got something to take care of, but it's been good. We must do this again. We
appreciate it, man.
Thank you.
We
Thank you.
will definitely have you back.
Yes, sir.
Definitely have you
I'm
back.
glad you and Kemit got to see each other after 50 years.
Yeah, for real. And we didn't get a chance to talk about your singing career.
Yeah, this is what.
It's still going on, man. It's still going on.
Hold on, Anthony. Before you leave, because we do this we'll come back to you, the other guys later. Just tell everybody what you're doing today.
Well, I work for Georgetown. I am a police officer there. I train other officers. Also, I'm a minister. I'm about to get set up at Glen Arden. So I teach the word, I preach the word, I live by the word. So
Awesome.
You throwing passes, baby. You throwing assists.
I'm throwing passes so that we all may eat.
Very good, very good.
Thank you.
Y'all
sir.
stay blessed.
Yes.
Take care of your families, and I'll see you on the next go round.
You'll see me on October 9th.
October 9th? Okay.
Yes, October 9th.
All right, sir.
You have email about that.
Take care,
Okay.
Anthony. Good seeing you, man.
All right, man.
Brother, always love. Take it easy.
Hey, don't forget to let Sam wrap us out, man.
So
All right.
I was about to ask Dwayne, you were talking about the bigs kind of, and how the game has evolved. Another thing that has evolved, when we were in school, most guys, whether they were top players or not, stayed in school for 4 years, unless there were kind of extenuating circumstances with the family. Given the money that they're paying these guys now, do you think that if you had the opportunity to be drafted in either round, the first or the second, would you have stayed in school 4 years?
Yeah, I think I would have. For a couple of reasons. One, I promised my mother I would get my degree, on her deathbed. And two, one of the things I talk to these young guys about all the time, and particularly as a Black man, is the one thing you should always give yourself is options, right? When you don't have options, then you're beholden to your situation. Having my degree and being able to, walk away from a situation with the San Antonio Spurs and go overseas and play for 3 years, and could have played a lot longer. But I gave it a long, hard thought and decided that I wanted to come back home and get into education. That was important to me. And getting my degree from Georgetown in English gave me the option to be able to do that, to start a career in something that I knew I wanted to do, rather than chasing ball and money, because that was the only option I had. So when I talk to a lot of my guys and talk to a lot of these young rim ball players, I talk to them about options, not money, but options. Money comes and goes, but if you got options, you always have an opportunity to do something bigger than yourself. And that's what this journey has been for me. I've had opportunities to make a lot of money doing other things, but it's a shame when you look at the NBA and you look at all of these young guys that leave and go early. We very rarely hear about white players who are broke, busted, don't have money. Even when they do specials, you don't hear about it. But you consistently and constantly hear about these young Black players who don't have any money anymore, who don't have a life anymore because they don't have options. And this new league that popped up now, they're paying a kid $1 million to play in this league. Well, we all know $1 million ain't $1 million once you take taxes and you got to pay off all your boys and everybody else. So what are they left with? No education, ball is done, options, because the reality of it is they ain't going to college. Let's be real about that. They ain't paying for college. They don't have the education, even how to keep the money that they have. So if I had to do it all over again, I get my degree. There ain't no doubt about it. I get my degree.
Touched on something there that Trey Morning mentioned on our last
about financing.
Saying that he would love for us to go to the Final Four and win a national championship, etc. But what would make him really happy is that if in 4 years, the incoming freshman, or whatever that, you didn't say the incoming freshman, said if everyone on the team is financially literate. And that's, I think that's super important. And they really don't teach that. I think it would be a boost for any program to teach guys, whether you're going to the NBA or going to the YMCA, to teach financial literacy. Kemit, what
Mark, before you go to Kemit, I'm gonna bring something up to you real quick, and you guys will remember this. You're talking about financial literacy, right? And Kemit said it was a culture of put down. Do you guys remember one day we were in practice and Big Coach said, how much money do you need to have in your pocket to say you got money? You guys remember that?
I remember that.
Shit. For me, $5. Growing up in the projects, $5 get you a meal.
Yeah.
And I didn't really understand what he was saying back then, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But the next comment was, that's why you'll always be broke, or something like that. And if I remember correctly, I think he took out a wad of cash.
He did. He took out a big wad.
And I'm looking at him like, okay, that's you. Give me $5. Shit, I can get some milk, some cookies, some whatever, because that was my reality, right? But that was an opportunity to teach financial literacy, right? What that meant to be able to pull that kind of money out of your pocket and be secure in that. You know what I mean?
Right.
When we talk about financial literacy, that was a moment to teach something that wasn't taught, but instead made you feel like, you know, you were doing something wrong because you didn't have that. Not how to get that and sustain that.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's Dwayne, I agree with Dwayne is really looking out. You know, he's talking about the pitfalls that we so stereotypically see about Black athletes. And, you know, that's because Dwayne cares and wants to see us do better. And it's a complicated kind of thing, you know, and, you know, if Trey wanted, that's cool. He wants everybody to have financial literacy. You could easily teach the players on the team financial literacy. Say each one of y'all, Georgetown University is about to make 300 grand off you per year. They're going to charge you they're going to give you tuition for $40,000 per year. How much money is Georgetown making off you every year? You can figure out, you can be real literate real quick. You know, me and Dwayne were there, we won 3 Big East championships, 2 tournament championships. NCAA paid them. You know, they could have said, here's the receipt for what we got for the NCAA tournament every year you was here, Dwayne. Here's how much we spent on you. And we gave you a bike and a pair of tennis shoes as well. How much do we owe you?
Dwayne doesn't have a chair. He don't have a chair. So
He lost it all.
You don't even have a rocking chair. You know.
I just gave it away.
Not to mention those sold out games in the Cap Center, all those ticket sales.
Hey, forget all that. Merchandising. How much money was made? Never forget this. The movie Colors. Everybody on Crips had on a Georgetown members only jacket that I guarantee you the school got paid for because you couldn't wear it because it was licensed by the university.
Licensing and
Starter.
Yeah.
Starter, right?
Yeah.
There's lots of opportunities for financial literacy to teach it to the players where they would get it and it would matter because it applies to them. And the NCAA is changing. It's still exploitative, but you know, I guess with Patrick being a coach now, he's going to have to deal with players who get endorsement deals and that sort of thing. So they're getting some revenue.
And that's a pitfall. That's a pitfall because there's a loyalty issue there now, because if a company is paying a kid $1 million to do something for them, right? Who's he loyal to? The company that's going to pay him $1 million or the university that wants him to get a national championship? Because if somebody comes to him and says, blah, 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 there's an integrity and a loyalty issue there that now every school will have to contend with and police and monitor, because, you know, monetizing your name is one thing, but giving kids money to live off of every month as a college student is completely different. They don't know what it's like not to have money to wash clothes. Shit, you know, they don't know what it's like to wear the same suit to every game. You know what I mean? So you guys know what that was like, you know. So to give a kid a stipend every month so that he can just be a college student is completely different to me than, you know, somebody being able to monetize their name. Not to mention now you got kids that don't ever see college. What's the young fella's name? Mo Williams' son. I mean, he's making more money right now than he'll probably make as a pro basketball, if he ever makes it to be a pro basketball player, because of his YouTube.
Mo Williams, the guy that played for the Cavaliers, you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Where is he in school?
He's in high school. And he's one of the YouTube sensations, over 1 million and something followers and all of this stuff. And because of that, people want to advertise on his Instagram, his YouTube, and this, that, and the other. So he's making more money right now as a high school player, I think, than he could probably make if he were an NBA player.
I think Dwayne is right. There's some challenges to that. And I'm not mad. I want the players to get their money.
Absolutely.
Because, you know, even if they earn it, they should get their money. Anybody else who works a job should get their money. A degree, that's cool, but really, by the time I graduated from Georgetown, I knew every Big East team's offense and defense, press offense, out of bounds play, including Georgetown's, but every other team in the Big East. I knew all this knowledge about basketball. I had all this expertise about basketball, but we weren't allowed to capitalize on that. Now, if I had that same knowledge about accounting, then yeah, I could go and be an accountant somewhere. That's when you major in accounting, you get a job in accounting. You major in basketball, there's a couple of spots in the NBA for you. Otherwise, you got to go overseas. You do with that expertise, it gets thrown away. So if everybody else gets to monetize their expertise, certainly the players should be able to monetize their expertise.
And that's why I was very deliberate about what I majored in. Very deliberate about it. I majored in something that I knew I was going to use once I was done. Georgetown didn't have an education department, couldn't get an education degree. And English was something that I was very fond of because of my two high school English teachers, but also because the shocker for me was freshman year. Coming from New Orleans, we had a different vernacular, right?
Yeah.
We would say this, that, those. And I'll never forget, Kemit, you might remember this. I said to Mark one time, I said, Mark, I need to go make groceries. And he looked at me like I had two heads. He said, Wayne, what'd you say? I said, I got to make groceries, man. He said, how you make groceries? I said, you go to the store, you pick out what you want, you pay for it, you make groceries. He said, Wayne, you don't make groceries, man. You buy groceries. You remember that?
I remember hearing that phrase from the New Orleans guys and being like, what the hell? Like that's I think that I don't know if that's a New Orleans thing or a Louisiana thing, but that's not a Southern thing.
It changed something in me because I became very conscious of what I said and how I said it, right? Remember that 7 a.m. class we took before we could speak to the media, to get you not to say this, that, and those, to learn how to pronounce your THs. So for me, everything was a process. You know what I mean? Everything was new. Every time something happened, I was learning something new. You know, and it just evolved over time. It evolved, and it became something that almost like a crusade for me personally, as an educator, to make sure that, in particular, young Black men in private schools understand what's in front of them, right? Because when you throw a kid into an environment that they're not ready for, it could be devastating on so many levels, right? Educationally, emotionally, socially, economically. And I went through all of that going to Georgetown.
Wow.
If it wasn't for close, like guys who weren't basketball players that were friends of mine, like Drew and people like that, I don't know how I would have survived. And y'all know me. I wasn't an on-campus dude. You know, I was out and about, you know. So although I had, you know, you guys as friends, I also had a group of friends that came from Catholic, that did football at Georgetown, that I would go to the Tombs with, that I would go to Thirds with, that I would go to all of these little clubs in Georgetown with, that really, really took care of me in terms of being able to do some things and opened up a whole new world to me, you know.
Right. Well, really what I hear you talking about, Dwayne, is exposure. And I remember, I don't know if it was a tournament, but it was around Christmas because we were in Tampa, and Sid's dad took me and Raheem and Sid to it was a really nice lunch.
Yeah.
And I remember him asking, he was asking me what the schedule was, and when the managers would be available. He said he wanted to take us out. And I never will forget, he said, I have some money that I have to spend before the end of the year. And it was tax related. And I was like, I've never heard anybody say anything like that. And like money that you have to spend, like what? Like I don't. That doesn't make sense to me. Another exposure story I tell all the time about the Georgetown program. My first road trip, because Mark Thompson had to leave in the middle of the year. I don't know if you remember. And so I went from being like kind of the manager trainee, wiping up the stuff being kind of like the ball boy at the Cap Center games, to traveling with the team and being on the road. And the first, we're going to the airport, and coach called me in the back seat with him on the bus, and he said, "Hey, you're a part of this thing now. You know, you need to understand that it's not you're not just at the caption." And I was like, "Okay, whatever." So, and we played UConn, I think, and we got snowed in. So instead of flying from, the next game was against Providence. We took the bus into Providence. We got in late at night, and I was starving. And we could order anything we wanted on the menu. You get 2 drinks, and obviously not alcohol. You get iced tea or lemonade or whatever you wanted, soda. But I looked at the menu, and my mentality, young kid from Memphis, was whatever is the most expensive is the most food. So I ordered filet mignon, and I'm sitting at the table with Ronnie Highsmith and Perry McDonald, the 2 co-captains, seniors who've been through this drill a million times. Also at my table was Tom Lang, Joe Lang's son, associate athletic director, and he's been through the drill a million times. Well, the waitress asked me, "How do you want the filet prepared?" Well, I had filet my entire life, filet of fish from McDonald's. So I said, "I'd like it fried." And Ronnie and Perry and Tom, I mean, you would have thought I was Eddie Murphy, Richard Pryor, and George Carlin rolled into one. They busted out laughing. And the waitress was as sweet as she could be. She said, "Sir, we don't really prepare it like that." And I said, "Well, how do you cook it?" And she said, "Well, you know, you could get it well, medium well." I'm like, "Oh shit, that's a steak." So I ordered my filet, and then it came out, and it was like that little medallion. I was like, hell, I got ripped off. I thought I was getting some food.
Oh man, what a story.
I do want to ask, because you just mentioned co-captain as part of your story. Dwayne, you and Kemit were, part of the tri-captain deal your senior year. Given the up and down and the strains that we all experience on some level, but specifically as it related to you two, how did you accept that? How did you feel about that? And what was the deal junior year? Were you captain as well junior year? Was it both years, junior and senior? If you can speak to that.
I think Smitty was captain senior year.
Okay.
I think it was Smitty and Bobby.
Okay.
My junior year. Is that right, Kenneth?
Yeah, that's right. Our junior year. That sounds right.
So senior year, what was the feeling? And I can only relate because when I was named captain, I just thought, okay, he's naming the sorriest motherfucker on the team captain, so nobody can really hate on him. And maybe he thought I was a snitch type cat or something. Like I didn't take it.
Hey, Gene, I'm telling you, from DC, you was a legend. Let's just be real.
Okay.
Like the shoe, it was Nike Legend, and they had the little bulldog on them or whatever.
I was the bulldog.
Hey, so you can shelve all that stuff about sorries on the team.
Well, real, right?
But we just talking skill level. If you guys weren't in there for the skill drills, he used to tell me just sit out. Just sit out. You know how you go basically, Gene, you just guard, but when it's time for you to dribble, don't dribble. But what was it like for you guys being named captain? Because for me, my experience was like, this dude done lost his mind. What was that?
I did. I took it seriously. I think going into that in the summertime, this is a typical type thing. Like, you ever know when somebody insulting you and you don't know that you're being insulted? But anyway, this is the example. He probably wasn't intending to insult me. But he called me in the summer before the senior year, and he gave me, I guess they had come off the Olympics. So he gave me a brand new Olympic sweatsuit, gave me some new Nikes. There was like this rare kind of Nike stuff and some other gear, swag and stuff. And he says, to whom much is given, much is expected this year from you, Sam. You know, da 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 da. We talk whatever. You know, now in retrospect, I don't know how much that stuff costs, but it wasn't a fair economic exchange. Let me just be real clear about that. So
He didn't pay for it.
right. You know, but nevertheless, at the time, I did take being a captain serious, and I tried to help the younger cats and set the example, show up early for practice, go hard, focus, read the scouting reports, you know, I particularly remember David Edwards, rest in peace.
Rest in peace. Yeah.
He was a great baller, great point guard, you know, and he was having difficulty with the adjustment and stuff. And I tried to be supportive to him to keep his head up and, you know, let him know that he could do it because he had real special talent, you know. And I guess he proved it when he left Georgetown. But yeah, that was the kind of thing that I saw about being a captain, you know, just setting an example for the younger cats. Although, yeah, I'm gonna leave that right there. Dwayne, you can talk about it.
It's funny you mentioned Dave Evans. I just want to say one thing I remember about Dave. I don't know, probably after 5 or 6 games. No, I couldn't have been 5 or 6 because we were playing those bums in the beginning. But like this is into the Big East season. Coach said, Dave, you must be a hell of a guard, because I never seen Dwayne Bryant fill the lane when you had like he does when you had a ball. Yeah, Wayne filling the lane, looking for some of those passes.
True. You know, I think I have to agree with Kemit. You know, I took it seriously. You know, I mean, for me, I guess I felt like it was time. You know what I mean? I had a very similar conversation with Coach, although I didn't get no sweatsuit and no shoes and all of that.
Let's be very clear.
It would have been too big for you, Dwayne.
Yeah, exactly. I had a very similar conversation. He said, you know, with talent comes responsibility. And it was one of the few times in my career that I kind of felt like he acknowledged what I brought to the table. You know what I mean? For me, my senior year, my housemates were David Edwards, Milton Bell, and Ronnie Thompson, my senior year, right? So I'll leave that dynamic where it was.
That's a crazy dynamic. How long did you stay there?
Let me give a shout out to Milton Bell real quick in case he ever see this.
And you know, Milt ended up leaving.
And to Craig Shelton, who I never knew Craig Shelton, but for our time, we gave Milton Bell the name Big Sky.
Wow, that's a hell of a nickname. That's a hell of a name to pass on. That's not the usual.
Milt was an incredible talent, but he struggled academically. Dave didn't struggle academically, but David and I had a special relationship because we came from similar backgrounds. You know, Dave grew up in Best Eye, you know, didn't come from a lot, but basketball was his salvation. And I'll never forget, he and I, we had a conversation one night till like 3, 4 in the morning, his freshman year. And he was having a really hard time dealing with Coach. And I was sharing with him some of the struggles that I had. And I'll never forget, he said, Wayne, he said, man, I can't do this. He said, I can't do this. He said, where I come from, people like that get got. And I was like, oh shit, this is a different kind of dude right here. You know, I said, this is a different kind of dude.
Conversation took a turn.
It did. And I just looked at him and I said, Dave, I said, look, man, everybody's got to look within themselves and decide what they need to do. You know, I said, it was rough for me, but I stuck it out. You know, I said, at the end of the day, I'm getting a degree from Georgetown. I said, you got 4 more years or 3 more years here. And if it's something you feel like you can't do, or if you're going to lose yourself in the process of trying to do it, then that's a decision you're going to have to make, you know. Yeah. But as a captain, I agree with Kemit. I mean, I took it seriously, man. It hurt my heart when we lost to Xavier.
Ooh,
Yeah.
hurt my heart too, fam.
It hurt my heart. I still feel to this day we should have won during our time. We should have won 2 national championships.
Yeah.
Agreed.
We should have won definitely maybe 3.
I was
Our freshman year was
about to say 3.
I was going to say our freshman year would have been a miracle to do it because we were young, but we were tough. Our junior year, we definitely should have won one. In our senior year, I think we should have.
Was the freshman year the year that you guys had 10 games where you came back, you were down at halftime or something, but you were down in the game and you came back and won? I mean, it was an incredible run, yo.
It was. I mean, I remember there was one game against St. John's when Reggie just went. He went on. It was incredible. And when I saw it, I was like, wow. I mean, I'm in the game playing. I remember playing in that game. I was a freshman. And they were just going back and forth and back and forth. And I'm out there, I'm trying to stop Willie Glass from dunking on my head.
I remember that. I had to guard Mark Jackson. I remember that.
You know, but Reggie was coming down. He was just unconscious. I mean, Reggie was killing him, man. I was like, wow. And that's why when you said he's the winningest Georgetown Hoya ever, I was like, yeah, he was a beast. And that's why we
Reggie was special.
Championship.
Reggie was special. Reggie was special.
Hey,
And Reggie, as far as he was, what people don't know about Reggie was a big time mentor. I had a lot of very intimate conversations with Reggie on the road, especially during that time when I was struggling freshman year to deal with Coach.
Did he share his freshman year with you, Dwayne?
He not only shared his freshman year, he shared his sophomore year, his junior year, his recruiting. I mean, Reggie had a lot of conversations with me, man. Reggie was my roommate on the road. And Reggie never called Coach by his name. He called him Waterhead.
Yeah, I think that would be Mike Hancock. Shout out to Mike Hancock.
He never called Coach by his name because I remember asking Reggie if he knew my name. Because if y'all remember, every time he referred to me, he called me motherfucker.
All of us. Oh, we all got that in common. Yes.
And I remember asking Reggie, I said, Reggie, he does know my name, right? This was like the first few weeks of practice. And Reggie said, man, he knows your name. Waterhead, he's just trying to break you, man. He's just trying to break you down. And you know, he used to always call us, well, I know he called me, I don't know about y'all, homogenized. He said we were homogenized.
That was Billy Martin. Billy Martin got that ad nauseum.
And I was like, I went back and looked the shit up. I was like, what does homogenized mean? I was like, what does that mean? And then, you know, talking about milk being homogenized. And I was like, oh, okay. So he took all the impurity about us and shit, okay. You know, so it was just one of those things, man. But Reggie was my savior. He was my guy.
Yeah, no doubt. Sid, I want to, before we, guys, I appreciate your time. We're like approaching an hour or well over an hour.
Well over an hour, yeah.
I love the fact, man, this energy is crazy. This is what I like. I mean, the fact that we send out, you know, questions to kind of like give you things to think of, that's not the script. That's just, yo, we might get to that. And man, Kemit's been on before, and man, much love for showing up again because, you know, yeah, this is what it's really about. Like I wanted to stay on mute the whole time and just hear this, but no, man, this is really what it's all about. Sid, yeah. I want to ask you because you kind of like, this wasn't something you were looking to do. Like Markin was planning on playing when he got on campus, right? So whole different storyline.
Yeah.
What was your main, like after being stonewalled, you know, what made you continue? And then if you can touch about what you're doing now, and is that just your pedigree, or did Georgetown basketball add to that in any way? Did the program add to that in any way?
Yo, I honestly, it was because I was passionate about basketball, played basketball in high school, you know, not at the level of everyone else on this call, but I did play. I started, I played tennis. So I tried out for the Georgetown tennis team. I didn't make it, but I did try out, and I was passionate about basketball still, but I was interested. I was just interested to understand what the game was about at the college level. So when I got the opportunity, I didn't know what I was getting involved with. I didn't know the time commitment. Honestly, I had no idea, Mark, I was going to be in the gym.
I don't think anybody on this panel knew what was involved.
By the time I was already in it, you know, I didn't want to quit. You know, I didn't. Although I was fired a couple times.
You got fired?
I mean,
He taped the huddles, didn't he?
Did
No, that was Mark Johnson.
Did you steal Coke bottles like Markham did?
No, I had wine in the refrigerator, and I told him I used it for cooking. You know, all kinds of stuff.
Oh wow, I never heard that story.
Oh man, I don't know who came in the apartment. You know, Coach had keys, but for like somebody left some wine.
They used to check. They used to come check up on you for sure.
Oh man,
was that Johnny Jones that just popped on?
That
I
was.
don't know what happened to Johnny.
I thought it was Till doing the alias. See, you never know with that dude.
So I got to tell a quick Johnny Jones story, and y'all will remember this one. So we had practice one day, right? And you know, Coach he liked to pick somebody to mess with, and Johnny was one of his favorite targets. So Coach said, "Johnny, go get me the keys to the paint." You remember that?
The key to the pivot.
Was it the paint or the pivot?
The pivot. The key to the pivot.
Pivot. So Johnny was like, he's like, I don't know who to get them from. He said, well, just go find out then. And we looking at this dude. He running upstairs. He running through doors. He running to the. But 20, 30 minutes later, Johnny comes back and goes, Coach, I can't find anybody to get the keys from. Johnny, where's the pivot? And he points to the paint area. And he goes, how the fuck you running around the gym looking for keys to the pivot when you know where it is, or something like that? And I was like, oh my God, like this man is something different. Like
I wasn't there then because those keys would have been in my back pocket.
I do. I totally remember that, man. No doubt. Yeah, man. You got it. There's a lot of stories that can't be told, Gene.
Yeah,
Well, can I get a Hoya locker room after dark or something? Like, well, how do I?
Yeah, that's why you have to do that.
Hey, I will say, let me
Subscription
just say
service.
this, Markham, is before we adjourn, I played a lot of ball with Kemit. I played with Dwayne a few times. I know we have the Gates and other places. Who was a better ball playing manager? Let's just.
Oh, you trying to sell that right now? Okay.
I'm tired of hearing about it.
Well, Mark is not even hand, so
this is not even a conversation. Like I'm gonna save you guys. Like I'm gonna save you.
Markham had no right hand.
No, that's true. That is absolutely true. Dwayne, you're an English major.
The one-handed bad.
The key word in that sentence you just used was had. Markham had no right hand.
Can you let him answer the question?
This is later. I'm just letting you know.
This, man. We would play
I
ball.
also had no jump shot. But this left hand,
hey, Dwayne
oh
Bryant,
my God.
Dwayne Bryant sound like Gene Smith.
This left hand, man, let me tell you.
Hey, Gene, quiet as kept, man. One of the things I took a lot of pride in is when people compared me to you as a defensive player. I took a lot of pride in that.
No doubt.
When people said that he reminds me of Gene Smith on defense, I knew what that was like. I knew what that meant. I knew what that compliment meant because I watched you basically put Kyle Macy in therapy. I watched you guard some of the best guards in the country and just completely shut them down. So I took pride in that because I knew what you did. And when people mentioned that, that meant something to me. And you talked about the Chris Jackson story. And I'll never forget this. I spent so much time focused on him on defense. I was 2 for 13 from the field in that game. Mm-hmm. He had 27 points, but he was like 9 for 29 from the field.
Yeah.
Wow.
He felt you.
I did my job.
He felt you. No doubt. Appreciate that. Appreciate that.
You had to get 27 points on 29 shots. You know, I did my job.
You did your job well. Yes, sir.
Well, fellas, thank you all for joining us in the locker room. There's a name that has come up throughout our conversation, and that's Reggie Williams. I just want to close it out with one word from each of you, both of you. We're talking about playing with Reggie? What was it like to play with Reggie? Just one word.
Damn. I'm included in that, right? Because I got a year with him. Okay.
You can get that too.
Okay. Unappreciated.
For me, I can't give you one, but I'll give you two. Mentor and competitive.
Just gonna go with special.
Mm.
Yeah, just a special time.
Got it from the captain. Well, all three of you were captains, actually. But the captain of the 84 team and two of the Miracles. Special, underappreciated, competitive mentor. So we will see you guys back in a couple of weeks. Thanks, Sid, Kemit, and Dwayne.
Hey, Malcolm, where do I get my meal money for this show, Malcolm?
Hey, that's another. Hey, man, you opening up a whole nother thing, man.
A whole nother can of work. Because Kemit,
$5.
Kemit, I'm over here. Every time I ask somebody to do something, I'm thinking, damn, you got to give them a bucket hat or a land, or what do you call those things? The Vanguard, the lanyards. You got to give them something.
The Vineyard lanyard.
You got to give dude something. So believe you me, if it's the last thing I do, anybody that's ever fucked with Hoya locker room gonna get something from me. So that's coming.
Good.
That's coming.
Yeah, man, I got to make it to a game this year. I haven't been to a game in probably five, maybe 10 years. It's been a long time.
My main takeaway from this joint today, this episode is, man, no matter what we all went through it together, and I'm so proud to be a part of what this represents, man.
And let me say one last thing before we wrap up, man. You know, we, like you said, Gene, we went through what we went through, you know, but I don't know about you guys, but I can appreciate what I went through from the perspective of, I don't necessarily always agree with Coach's methods. I think his heart might have been in the right place and what he was trying to do in terms of preparing young Black men. I don't agree with his methods. You know, I think they were harsh and all of that, and sometimes unnecessary. People judge his success based on the guys who went to the NBA. And I've often said this to a lot of people. If you want to judge the man's success, judge it based on the guys who didn't play in the league. To me, that's the legacy. No matter what we feel about him personally, the legacy speaks for itself when you look at the guys who didn't have the longevity as NBA players and what contributions we have given to life and to society. I think to me, therein lies where the success goes.
I agree with you, Wayne. And I said we're going to close on that thing, but since you say that, what are all of you guys doing now? That's what we should close out with. What do you guys do?
I'm in my 28th year, 28th or 29th year of education. I was an English teacher for 7 years, and I've been a director of athletics for the last 12 years. And now I'm back coaching high school basketball here in the DC area at Bishop Arlington High School. Again, and loving every minute of it. I took a 10-year hiatus. I needed it to rejuvenate. Moved back here in a year ago, June, and loving every minute of being back, where, you know, I feel like family is. You know, a lot of people who I love and who love me and care about me. So I'm back doing what I love doing.
Sid?
I am in my third career. After Georgetown, I went to Michigan for MBA, and I came out of that doing packaged goods marketing for about 10 years. Then I transitioned to sports marketing, where I worked for the New Jersey Nets for a while, and then the National Football League as well. And now I'm in HR. My third career, I'm a vice president of human resources for Extended Stay America hotel chain. I do development, training, and engagement.
So I can call you for a job.
Well,
Or a room.
you can also call you if you want your social media checked on.
Yeah.
That code, anytime you hear engagement, that's code word for I'm checking your shit out.
Yeah.
Kemit?
Yeah. I don't know. I was just reflecting a little bit on what Dwayne said. And, you know, I wouldn't want my post Georgetown career to be I don't credit to Coach Thompson's success or my experience at Georgetown. So I went to law school. I got a law degree. I got a LLM, which is a advanced degree beyond the master's laws, beyond that. And I had several careers, like said. So I have a good life. I have a hell of a life. Coming from Northeast DC, apartment complex, I was just like, oh my goodness. You couldn't have told me that I was going to end up where I'm living in Silicon Valley now, and just doing great. And working for our people to make a difference. So I'm gonna leave it with that, man.
Cool. Well, thank you all for being here, and make sure you are available on October the 9th. Check your email, Saturday, 6 to 8 Eastern time.
Fellas, I can't thank you enough from the bottom of my heart, man. This is bigger than Georgetown basketball, and I really appreciate being connected to you, brothers. Really do.
Give a shout out to Patrick and all the young players playing today. Today's Hoyas. I wish them but the best, man. I hope they win the championship.
Yes.
Agree with you, brother. Agree with you, Patrick.
I would love for them to have access to, gentlemen like yourself, because it would only be a positive narrative at the end of the day. So yeah, I appreciate y'all.
Thank you, fellas.
Thank you.
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Man, good to see y'all. Love y'all, my brothers.
Love you too, brother. See you, Dwayne.
Take care, Wayne, man. Great to see you, man.
Hey, Kemit, I'm not going to invite you back anymore, man. I know I'm running. I'm pressing my luck every time your name come up. Like, I can't keep asking that guy. But
I'm about to sue you for compensation, baby.
Happy Sunday, fellas.
Take care. All right, fellas. Peace.